Welcome Miss Chhavi to the episode of Esprit Talks from PSY, a platform where we live, love, and learn psychology. In this in this podcast, I, Soumya Srivastava, will be the host, and we will be talking about psychology and mental health. For our episode, we have Miss Chhavi, a beacon of inspiration in the world of sound psychology. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me here on the platform.
It's our pleasure, ma'am. So, ma'am, can you walk us through your personal journey towards becoming the sound therapist?
Okay, so the journey is actually a little funny. So I finished a lot of other courses initially, like clinical hypnotherapy, Reiki, tarot crystals, and then I was just traveling and I just saw somewhere the bowls. I was fascinated by the bowls. So out of curiosity, I was just like, the bowls are very famous in Nepal. Let me just order the bowls and let me get it. I started working, experimenting with the bowls. I like the sound, connect, did it on myself with my family, and then like, oh, there's something, to it. And then I realized it's better now. Okay, now if that is really the power of healing in that, I realized and I think I should dwell deep into it because I don't want to just do it for the sake of it or with half-hearted knowledge. Because once you are trained into a particular modality, once you are trained into a particular subject, it becomes your mastery over it, automatically your confidence also boosts up. So then I enrolled into a course, finished a proper course, ordered a new set of bowls which were proper with frequencies, and there was so much learning in that entire journey and process also of sound understanding. So I had, as a child, a very foundation, I would say. I had a foundation as a sound, as a singer, because I had done 3 years of classical singing. So I had a little bit of background into music, understanding the tal, the lay that we talk about, so I was able to adapt, I was able to count and understand. But the western classical, the western side, I was not much familiar with the world that were the frequencies and all those things. So when I was enrolling into my journey, I learned all these things in depth, and that is what made me all fascinating about, like, okay, this is something, wow, that every moment was like, wow. And then as the journey went ahead, learning more protocols for issues like anxiety, depression, health issues, physical health issues which were there, and I was like, wow. And then eventually it so happened I did it for one of the clients who was having a frozen shoulder. Within 3 sessions, initially she could not even raise her hand. Now she was able to raise her hand. She could not take weight on the shoulder. She was able to take. So what happens, as with the mastery knowledge, as we start working with people, that is the biggest evidence that we get that yes, sound can work as a therapy.
Okay, wow, ma'am, it's really interesting. Like आपने बोला कि आपको music में interest था, then your field is like time, मतलब you got that field. Ma'am, what really motivated you to chase this field or to be in this diverse area of psychology?
So, when I was initially doing my graduation in psychology, somehow I never had a very strong inclination towards the clinical aspect, the hospitalizations and all that. So I was very sure from the beginning I want to do really different, and that was something maybe in arts and dance, movement therapy, sound therapy, music therapy, dance. So I was always inclined towards these other artistic, aesthetic, artistic therapies, modalities which were there to work with clients. And I think that is what I just happened to stumble upon, the sound therapy, and then just happened in my life.
That's indeed inspiring, ma'am. So, ma'am, how you help your patient like by this sound therapy in terms of like physical and emotional well-being?
Okay, so there are different ways to work with sounds. Okay, there are group sessions that we do. So ideally, what we prefer to do is on full moon and new moon. See, in schools, you would have studied, I think in science, eighth or ninth standard, that during full moon and new moon, the moon exerts a pressure on the oceans, right, and the waves change. So now that is water. And now, if I use the same analogy to the human body is also made up of water. Now, when there's a water, of course, that is also going to exert the pressure on our body. So, of course, we do a group sessions on full moon and new moon. Along with it, it helps you to align your chakras. So, it helps you release lot of your beliefs, your thought patterns. It is very good for overthinking because see, when you're overthinking, it is coming from some sort of a belief system, some thoughts which are there, the core or the crux. So what happens is when you're working with the sound bowl, that is helping you to also reach to the core issue, the belief which is there, or the thoughts which are there, and is helping you to release all those things. So that is one way to do the group settings. Along with the group settings, we can also have one-to-one sessions. Now, those one-to-one sessions can be on the basis of your specific issues that you need to address to. Like as I said, there can be anxiety, there can be depression. Of course, you can have your physical issues, your ailments, like you have constipation, irritable bowel syndrome, you have your knee issues, you have name it, any issues, even with your brain, if you have mind issues, anything that you're experiencing, because everything has a very different protocol. Now, when I'm saying a protocol here, it means that there are sets of bowls, 7 bowls. Those 7 bowls, different chakras, different frequencies. So now for specific health issue, there will be a specific alignment, specific protocol to be followed. Okay, only these bowls of these frequencies have to be played. Also in terms of how they're supposed to be hit. Are they supposed to be hit inside the rim or from outside the rim? Or they're supposed to, you're supposed to circle it, rim it. What is it? So that is how the protocols are there. So first we do, of course, just as in psychology, when we are sitting with a client, we take a detailed case history, we do that to understand what exactly is the health issue or the emotional issue or the mental issue that they are suffering from. And then based on that, we tell them these are the protocols that we can use it. Because when we're
Wow,
doing
man,
one to
that's
one, we keep the bowls on their
interesting.
body. Thank you.
Interesting, ma'am. Like it's something different from like psychology जिसमें हम अलग अलग sounds से like therapy आप दे रहे हैं. So it's quite very diverse. So ma'am, how this sound therapy helps the client after like you have given a therapy. So ma'am, how the patient heals through this sound therapy?
How the patient
Heal. How patient heal through this sound therapy? How it impacts on them?
impact. See, okay. So the science is based on also about the cymatics. Okay. Now the cymatic study, if you are looking on, cymatics is what? Cymatics is the study of vibrations and frequencies. Now, if we go with the sound, we all believe that we all are existing in a vibration. Atoms, neurons, protons, electrons, everything is a vibration which is generating an energy. Okay. Now that same energy is existing in the universe. The biggest example is the Big Bang theory. A lot of us believe that the first sounds or the initial sounds were heard when the bang happened. And then we have the basic 3 sounds, the universal sounds that we call om, ma. Uma is from where your other sounds have come. So now when we're talking about the sound, the vibrations which are there, apart from the vibrations, also we have chakras in our body. Now those chakras are also working on the vibrations and specific energy frequency. So when I'm talking about cymatics, as I said, cymatics is talking about frequency and vibrations. So now what happens is the body vibrations which are there, they have to be attuned and aligned with the vibrations of the universe which are there. So it is acting that how sound waves they interact with a medium, which could be water, sand, or human body. So when we are working with the clients, the body becomes a medium. And what is happening is I am exploring the relationship between the frequency and the physical body which is there. And what is happening, these chakras, when they have a specific frequency, they have a specific vibrations. So every bowl will be aligned to those vibrations and frequencies. So what is going to happen is it is going to produce those sounds to going to help them release the blockages which are there in that chakras. Because what happens is in that chakras, A thought, emotion, intention, belief systems can cause blockages of the energy. So what is happening is using the sound bowls, the frequencies and the vibrations which are there, I am trying to unlock all those things in the chakras and helping them balance that. And be it, see, any physical health issue, the underlying cause will always be an emotion which is there. And if I go with a very simple analogy, there's a thought. From thought comes an emotion, from an emotion comes a feeling, and from feeling it goes into your physical body. So now, whenever we are experiencing certain emotions, if they're dealt at that level itself, automatically you will not develop any physical illness. But if it's persisting, it will turn manifest into the physical body as an illness. So what happens is through the sound, I'm helping him to regulate those emotions and release those emotions which are there. And as a result, what happens is I am aligning the energies of the chakras and helping them balance those chakras.
ओके मैम, वी कंसिडर म्यूजिक एज अ थेरेपी। लाइक हम जब म्यूजिक सुनते हैं हमें खुद ऐसा लगता है कि हाँ, हमारे जो इमोशंस है वो काफी चीजों में हील हो रहे हैं। तो मैम, कैन यू टेल अस like roadmap to how to become a sound therapist?
Okay, so first of all, I always suggest two things. First, figure out is sound really your interest. See, talking about my own personal interest, when I was learning my own journey of hypnotherapy, so when I was learning that time, there used to be a lot of sessions of sound healing, and to be honest, that time I did not enjoy much, and I could not bear sound. So that time I was very shocked, I cannot learn sound. What shifted over the period of time for me, maybe because continuously I was working on myself, so I don't know what shifted for me, that automatically the sound came to me. Or it's always said, the more you escape for something, the more it's going to come to you. So maybe I was escaping sound, it came to me. But now when it came to me, I think I was well prepared for it because I was in the acceptance mode. So then now I realized first thing, okay, now I'm comfortable with the sound. And the reason, because when we're in the field of psychology, all of us as psychologists, this is one thing I can give for sure in writing. We all enter the field of psychology because we all have gone through some problems in our life. And that is why we are joining psychology. Correct?
Yeah, so
So, correct, that resonates with you. So now what happens is, if I have a problem that is triggering me, and if I have a very traumatic thing, sounds might just trigger me. So that's something. The first step to becoming a sound therapist, and that's what according to me I always believe, is if you're able to connect with the sound. Because as I said, other people might have different ways. Some may have dance as an expression, some may have art as an expression. So the thing is, are you really able to connect with the sound first? If you want, of course, you can go to a person who does sound healing, experience the sessions. You can try it on yourself once. You can try playing, and then just get understanding whether okay you will be comfortable doing it also or not. Because even when you're playing, when you're healing, that requires sound. This is the first thing. So try to understand what is sound. Try to connect with the sound. Understand whether you're going to do that or not. And then the next step is, of course, once you have been very firm, you've taken a decision ki yes, I'm comfortable, I would like to go ahead, then find a good mentor and do a certified course in sound healing.
okay, different kinds of sound work like differently. Then
Absolutely.
can
And
you like
just to
yes
add
ma'am?
on, it is not just about the sounds like when we hear, there's much more.
Yes.
So when I entered the field, I realized the sound is not just what we usually think as music with the instruments and all. Yes, that is also therapeutic, no doubt. When you're playing drums, when you're listening to some drums, when you're listening to classical music, and people who listen to other types of music, yes, it is therapeutic. But when it comes from the healing perspective, from the therapy perspective, there's so many other instruments, not just like the bowls that are there. For example, I'll show you. Like this is a bowl. I don't know if you can see. This is one bowl. So this is one bowl which is there. Apart from this, there are wind chimes which I use. Now, wind chimes are not like the chimes that we usually put in our house No, not that way. There's specified, wind chimes which are there. Then you have gongs, you have crystal sound bowls. There's so many other instruments which are used for therapy. And if you combine all of that, you would just feel it as if you're in the universe floating around. Your body becomes that light, and you connect to the universe.
ओह मैम, इट्स रियली लाइक कुछ अलग तरीके की है ये कि हम डिफरेंट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स भी यूज कर रहे हैं, अलग से चीजें भी यूज कर रहे हैं। लाइक इट्स लाइक इमेजिन अगर हम इसको करके देखें तो ये बहुत अच्छे लगते हैं अंदर से, हमें वो एक थेरेपी वाली फीलिंग देती है इफ वी इमेजिन दिस ऑल। So, ma'am, can you highlight some importance of importance of sound therapy or can you highlight some like main impacts when a patient comes from the sound therapy or वो therapy ले रहे हैं, then what can be seen in them?
See, the first thing I always say when I take a group sessions or when I do even one-to-one therapy, the first thing I always say is take your photos before and after. Because there's so much of release at the subconscious level, the energies, the beliefs, the thoughts, whatever the emotions that is being released, there's a total shift on their face. The energies are shifted. It's like, when we go to beauty parlor and how our face glows. This is a glow on the face which is natural. So that's the first thing. That is total shift in the energies. Second, the body. So this body also feels very calm, relaxed, and light. And along with that, you can sense and see a sense of calmness on their face. And to an extent, the scenario itself is so beautiful to observe as a therapist that for a lot of time you don't wish to disturb them. They're in such a peaceful, blissful state that you don't feel like disturbing them. And they actually experience that. And because they experience, they come to you. And as I said, when you're working with people, when they see the evidence, the difference in their body that they feel, that's the biggest evidence. And they'll come back to you. So that is the shifts on their face, on their body, what they feel, the glow which is there on the face, and this certain sense of even contentment, blissful and peace that is there, which you can very immediately you will see and you'll observe from the body language also. So that's the biggest thing, that the difference or the shift that you see in the people after the session which is there.
Yeah, ma'am, we have seen people like वो therapy से आते हैं, then they have a different kind of glow and उनमें काफी चीजें हमने देखी कि change भी हो जाती हैं. For example, they started talking to more people and उन्हें एक healing की feeling then उनके अंदर से ही वो चीज होती है. So, ma'am, sound therapy has many areas also. Ma'am, can you explain us about hypnotherapy, then what it actually is and how it works?
Okay, so if you're talking about hypnotherapy works with your subconscious mind. There are different techniques and tools to work. So there are few very important techniques that we talk about is your inner child healing work, which is there, which becomes a part of it. You have cord cutting. As we have heard about psychodrama, there is something called as hypnodrama and hypno as a part of it. Of course, then you work again with any sort of physical health issues in that. As I said, because physical health issues have emotions, so it's very important to manage and deal with the emotions. See, when an individual is growing, subconscious mind is definitely working with a lot of experiences, and those experiences are classified as pain and pleasure. So that pain pleasure is nothing but the emotions or the feelings that is there, because the thoughts are at your conscious level. Your core beliefs will be in your subconscious. So your beliefs plus your emotions which are there, they are there in your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind does not understand the language of no, never. Not. So what happens is when we are working in clinical hypnotherapy, our thing is to bypass the critical filter which is separating your conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and access your subconscious mind to clear the root cause of the issue which the client is experiencing. And it is as good as not just for anybody who wants to become a therapist, but anybody who wants to work on themselves. So a lot of times we get questions like, we are not from psychology background, or we don't want to be a therapist, but okay, you can learn that to become a better version of yourself. Because when you learn, you will start, it's like, when we are getting those tube light moments. So when you're learning, you get, oh, this happened in my life, oh, this happened. So maybe that awareness starts coming into you. So anybody who wants to just be constantly working on themselves, increase their self-awareness, I think hypnotherapy is a very good tool. Again, I'm saying it as a tool because it itself, under it, there are so many tools and techniques that you learn. And irrespective of whichever tool techniques you learn, like your age regression is there, regression therapy is there, you work with your phobias, you work with pain, you work with the physical issues, addictions, you work with also if there are any oaths and curses in the family, you remove and reverse all those things, maybe in the lineage pattern, you work with your parents. So if we talk about from gestalt perspective, there's a transaction analysis that we do, which is a PAB, parent adult child, that we find out. So that also gets resolved in that. There's passive aggressive behavior, you learn cord cutting, you learn about the spiritual hypnosis, the concept of the karma, the karmic lives, and you start getting understanding better about your life, better about your parents that you have chosen, the life that you're living, why you're living. And I think it's a complete package in itself that gives you so much awareness at different levels. And then of course, once you're ready, you're like an engineer, you're like a mechanic. You have a belt with so many tools and you're out there on the road. So whatever the problem comes, okay, if this is the problem, I have a tool for this. If this is the problem, I have a tool for this. And everything working at the root cause, which is at the subconscious level.
Ma'am, how like in hypnotherapy, how are the suggestions like really impact on the body and mind of the patient?
Okay, so first thing what we do is, there are two ways to work on that. First, as a therapist, I can put a suggestion directly into the subconscious mind. Of course, it's a journey that we put the person into a trance. Now, people usually have a misconception here where, like, we use those pendulums and this and that. No, the person is sitting on the chair. Person is very well aware what is happening with him or her. The person is not in my control. The person is in his or her control itself. ठीक है, फिर उसके बाद क्या होता है, of course once they reach to a very deep state which is there in hypnosis, वहाँ पे we put the suggestions. So what happens, anything directly put into subconscious, it will start being slowly and gradually accepted by the body, mind, and it will start showing that in the difference. That is one. Secondly, then you can constantly reinforce the same by doing self hypnosis. So you can learn self hypnosis and you can constantly reinforce yourself to do that better.
Ma'am, you have performed like many kinds of therapy. So, ma'am, can you share your perspective regarding all, or can you share like which therapy you use the most and which you think is the most effective on the patient?
See, it depends from perspective and from person to person. Because for me, I have been into clinical hypnotherapy where we have seen evidences, our mentors have given us the evidences which are there. So what I combine is now your hypnotherapy with something called transpersonal regression therapy, which is from Netherlands called TASO. Okay. Then family constellation, which is there. So I combine these three modalities and I work with that.
Okay.
And a part of it, of course, incorporates inner child and age regression therapy, which is there. So that is, of course, I use personally these because they have shown to be very helpful to the clients and help work from the core issue. Family constellation that we are talking about works from the intergenerationals. Maybe some patterns coming from your ancestors, like for example when we hear physical issues कि मेरे दादा के दादा को ब्लड प्रेशर था तब से चला आ रहा है, So still, that means it is not you, it's genetics. Something called the study of epigenetics, all these things which are existing. And these things have been scientifically proven. So then that is where your family constellation can help working with the ancestors, generational, and reverse a lot of things, a lot of patterns coming from there. So that is why I prefer working with this, and because family constellation involves working with each and every aspect of it, whether it's a money, finance, job, career, and you just name it, everything is possible with it. So, and that is when I incorporate hypnotherapy or regression work and constellation work. As I said, once you are trained, you have the tools. Which tool to use, when to use, how to use, what discretion to use, it's up to you. And depending, of course, you also have to see how much is the client able to take. Because it's energetic work, also, body work, somatic work. So it is going to be tiring also because there's so much release happening from the body also. So maybe sometimes you have to see if the client is not able to take so much, okay, we put a full stop there.
Hmm. Ma'am,
And then
it's
maybe we continue in the
really
next
different.
session.
Like, ma'am, it's quite interesting and vast. Ma'am, not only me, our audiences also wanted to ask the question related to this sound therapy field because we have the mandalas and hypnotherapy and और भी तरीके की हमारे पास चीजें हैं इसमें. Ma'am, how like different colors or ideas typically convey which we use like in mandalas?
So talking about the colors, the color therapy.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so see, every color has a meaning to it. So once I know, see, colors can be used in this two ways. First, colors can also be used with the association of your chakras, because each chakra is also having a color. Each chakra is associated to one of the endocrine systems, and pituitary being the master, which is connected with the crown here. So definitely one way to use colors is through that, because if I know, for example, my pancreas is not working, the solar plexus is blocked, I will definitely stimulate more yellow solar to it. So that is how it can work depending upon the combination of it, what is weak, to give it more energy. Second way, as just as colors I can use, because every color also has a significance. For example, orange is about positivity, enthusiasm, which is there. Black is usually dull, depressed, that we talk about. Green is healing, abundance color. So that is how, based on the need perspective, sometimes, for example, there's a person who is very aggressive. Avoid using red color to it. Avoid blues, greens, yellows, maybe to an extent, but little cool colors to it. So this is how you have to first understand the client and the problem, and accordingly give the suggestions of the colors which can be there. Mandalas can also be the designs, if we talk about specific, because each pattern also represents certain things. For example, if I'm just drawing the triangles like this, now how am I drawing triangle? Am I drawing in one particular direction? Uneven है, distance है, बहुत uneven distance है. So everything will mean something about the person. Then if I'm drawing this ulta U shape pattern, or like this, or heart shape, so any pattern, even doodling, scribbles, everything will reflect and say some state of mind which is there.
Ma'am, this is like really very much insightful. As crystal therapy we have seen in our एशियन टाइम, हम ये सब चीजें पुराने जमाने से मानते आ रहे हैं कि हाँ दिस कलर इस तरीके से इम्पैक्ट करता है, जैसे रेड कलर वो एंग्रीनेस को पोर्ट्रे करता है. So ma'am, how this traditionally belief culture is like comparable with the modern culture in terms of the health and the well-being?
See, if you go, I think there's nothing as comparison. I think it's time that both the sciences have to work together. Okay, first thing. Secondly, what I'm trying to say is that पुराने ज़माने में, when we didn't have something called proper medical studies known, but still we had practices. For example, the herbs, the plants, the nature was being used to cure. You go to the history of hypnosis, you will see in the Egyptian there were temples where the fire was used and people were put into trance, surgeries were being performed, healing was done, everything was done. So people were using nature as a cure to heal. So I don't think there is a differentiation that should ever be made between medical and all these things which is there. Okay, I understand with the coming generation there's a lot of doubts and skepticism in terms of authenticity, which is of course I agree. Even what I'm going to say right now, a lot of people may not agree to me. Agreed. But the point is, good and bad will be there in every profession. So the whole aspect is key. We have evidences. We have Ayurveda. We have Vedas which are talking about the healing. In that has been also been mentioned that your body knows how to heal itself. It's just that you need to just listen to your body. So it's as simple as okay, when you're super tired, mentally exhausted, and you're asking and wanting for a break, you don't take a break. Then definitely something or the other will happen in your life where you'll be compelled to take a rest. You do not listen to your body. Even we're talking about the crystal. Let's go back to the history of Atlantis, the story of Atlantis. It's believed that Atlantis was full of crystals, and but because people misusing the crystals, the power of all those things, it sunk. And somewhere that's why we believe because the crystals have the ability to transmute between the different, what will I say, frequencies or zones. So when they're transmuting, and that's why they say it's believed that it is below the Bermuda Triangle. That is why you see no ship or plane goes there, because the moment they're there, they disappear because somewhere it is transmuted to some other dimension. Dimension is the right word. So again, crystals were used to heal initially. That's why you see all the in the ancient times, all the kings, queens, they would always have precious stones with them.
So, ma'am, are there any ethical concerns regarding the use of the crystal therapy, especially when it comes to, the medical conditions of these
See,
modern
it
times?
has to be first thing, it depends on from where you've taken training. Second, ethical, when we are talking about, yes, definitely you have to take into consideration first whether the client is feeling good or not. First. Second, usually we tend to avoid the crystal therapy with the pregnant ladies, and that has to be avoided. Of course, that's why when you're starting to serve the client, please ask whether they're expecting or not, if you're intending to do a crystal therapy or not. That's first. Apart from that, otherwise, all these things are very safe. They do not tend to have any kind of repercussions. Of course, a lot of times when people are, see, I'm also wearing so many of them. When you're wearing, so even when you're wearing these, a lot of times, like I have cases where people have said, okay, we are feeling nauseatic, we are feeling this. I just say, be with it for some time, breathe and see how it happens. One day, the next day they are fine, and then I just talk to them and say, okay, now this is the purpose for which you had taken this crystal, and now just understand this all that you had felt. Again, sometimes having acid reflux, any kind of somatics after this is a sign of healing, cleansing. So when she started feeling, for example, she was feeling, the client I'm talking about, she felt nauseatic after wearing a bracelet. I said, okay, just wait for some time. Just wait for today. Take a deep breath. Next day she was all right. And then I just probed a little bit her history and all, and I said, okay, yes. So this is what was releasing for you. And then she has been better. And that issue which was there of hers also got healed now.
That's very interesting story, and ma'am, thank you so much for sharing this perspective with our audience. So, ma'am, how people can like usually able to differentiate between the legitimate crystal therapy and the unfounded claims
See,
people.
okay. See, the first thing is always check the credibility of the therapist. Check the certifications, and I always believe you have the right to ask them and know their certifications. See, even from the psychology background, I strongly oppose there are people who do 2 month certification course, 3 month certification course, and call themselves as counselors. Correct. The same thing, it's better to also understand people who have worked, who've done their bachelor's, master's, MPhil, PhD, they have studied in depth for so many years. So I think the same way it's there, whether we're talking about the crystal therapy, also check the credibility of the person, the knowledge of the person. The knowledge of the person is going to be there. And obviously, when you're talking about the crystals, also you will, when you're ordering on any of the websites, websites, shopping websites, I don't want to name it here in the public, be careful, because there have been instances where I initially, before I ventured into the crystal healing, I ordered something, it came out to be fake. So just be careful. So with whom you are ordering, where you're ordering from, it's very important to know that.
Awesome, ma'am. Awesome. Literally, it's something like ये अलग तरीके से हम चीजों को बताना, मतलब एक्सप्लेनेशन तो कुछ कल्चरल वे भी था हमारा, इसमें कल्चर भी है हमारे साथ कनेक्टेड। मैम, दिस इज मोस्ट आस्क्ड क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम आवर ऑडियंस। मैम, हाउ it feels like when a person is being hypnotized? Is it
Okay.
able to aware of their thoughts or able to control themselves? And
Okay. So let's understand what happens in when the person is in trance state or hypnosis that we talk about. It's a very simple words to explain. Your body is sleeping, mind is awake. Okay. So you're on the chair itself, of course, or maybe on the couch, wherever that is there. You are there, but you're not sleeping. You're fully aware. Your mind is aware. So even if you're lying down, suppose the therapist is sitting here, वो यहाँ से उठ के यूं भी जाएगा ना, मुझे पता पड़ जाएगा कि वो उठ के चल के गया। Second, therapists are just a mere facilitators. So maybe they might be just talking 10%, 15%, maximum work is being done by the client. So the thing you have to understand when we're talking about hypnosis as from a therapeutic perspective, here the willpower of the client is very important. Nothing can happen without the client. If the client does not want to heal, does not want to move forward, तो नहीं होगा. Client wants to heal, client wants to move forward, client wants to do it, it will happen. So it is everything in the hands of the control of the client which is there. And see, a lot of times we just have to emphasize that it's okay when the subconscious is speaking, we don't have to find any meaning to it, because logic is just your conscious mind. Subconscious does not have logic, it has only the experience of pleasure and pain. So maybe, for example, when you're dealing with one of the clients and it regressed automatically to one of the past lives which were there, which was there with some war that had happened, and he was having a severe anxiety issue, to an extent that not able to sleep, heavy on medication, and you see that literally from the eyes that person has not slept. And it so happened that we were just putting the person to trance. Okay, we'll start, and he was already there starting. And then that war story he started, and I'm checking here on my mobile exact war details. I'm like, okay, boss, proved it. And there are lots such many cases you will find. There's this book also, I don't remember, it's something with wings, reborn to wings or something, I don't know, something like that, which has discussing the past lives of Shah Rukh Khan and all these people also, all celebrities also, which they have done and that has been noted down. So having said that, the client is fully aware what is happening with the client. That client was aware what was happening. Now what happens is when people say कि once the person is out of hypnosis and trance, इंसान अपनी पहचान भूल जाएगा. नहीं, इंसान अपनी कोई पहचान नहीं भूलता है. पास्ट लाइफ में भी गए तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि आप अटक जाओगे, क्योंकि करंट लाइफ में जी रहे हो ना आप. योर पास्ट लाइफ इज लाइक अ डीवीडी दैट यू आर जस्ट वाचिंग कि अच्छा ये हुआ था. यू आर लर्निंग द विजडम कि अच्छा वो लाइफ में ऐसा हुआ था तो मुझे वो सेम पैटर्न इस लाइफ में रिपीट नहीं करना है मुझे. ओके, so that is the thing. So now when the client is out awake of hypnosis, वो उसको सब याद रहता है कौन है, क्या है, कैसा है. Now when you're in that hypnosis stage, there are different stages, the depth of hypnosis that we talk about. Now in what depth you are is what defines. So if you're at the deepest level, that is where you might forget what happened in the session when you wake up. So when a lot of times when I was learning, when we used to have practice sessions in partners, I would go to the deepest point in my hypnosis. So when I would wake up and when a mentor would ask me, okay, what happened with you? How was your experience? I would look at my partner. Please, you tell. I don't remember anything what happened in the session. So, but that did not mean I don't know who I am. I'm still the same Chhavi. I'm still the same person. I know who I am. So I do not forget who I am. I just forgot what happened in the session because that was the deepest level of the trance that I was in. That is the only thing. There's nothing like you will be stuck there, you will not be able to come out, nothing. And okay, I'll tell you a beautiful fact. Interestingly, all of us naturally go and enter the state of hypnosis every day twice. Do you want?
Thank you so much, Sam, for sharing this such a wonderful experience with us. It's our pleasure to have you on our podcast. Ma'am, thank you so much also from our audience students for paving the right path to our students who are listening to us. And let's conclude the another provoking episode of our Esprit Talks. Thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to tune the next time we continue our exploration in the field of psychology and mental health awareness. Until then, live, love, and learn psychology with CSP.
Thank you.
What changes or benefits do you observe in clients who undergo eco psychological therapy?
I worked with transgender, and what we saw was that they were able to, relate very well with nature. When they were in nature, uh, they did not feel that they were not able to belong. That was one of the things that the client was coming with. That wherever I go, I don't feel a sense of belonging. Now, when she was there, she was able to feel like, you know what, this is my space. I can be whatever I want to be here. I don't feel that I'm being judged. I don't feel that I'm being scrutinized. I can be vulnerable here. And when she was in that spot, in that mindset, our work happened.